This episode of Simple Civics Greenville County is brought to you by Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, providing free books to children 0 to 5 throughout Greenville County. To sign up, visit greenvillefirststeps.org/freebooks. That's greenvillefirststeps.org/freebooks.
Trees do so much more than just look pretty. They cool our neighborhoods, soak up stormwater, clean our air, and boost our quality of life. But maintaining a healthy tree canopy amidst rapid development doesn't happen by accident. It takes clear data, intentional planning, and strong community partnerships. I'm Katie Smith with Greater Good Greenville, and on this episode of Simple Civics Greenville County, our guest host, Kelly Byers, takes a look at our urban tree canopy. Kelly is a member of Travelers Rest City Council, and she serves as the Director of Development for Trees Upstate. She is joined by Mindy Mohrman with Urban Canopy Works, a seasoned urban forester who is leading a comprehensive urban tree canopy study right here in the city of Greenville. Together, Kelly and Mindy break down what the latest data tells us about our tree cover, why trees are vital community infrastructure, and how we can all work together to protect and grow our green canopy for generations to come. And if you're listening to this in mid-August, you have an opportunity to weigh in on the City of Greenville's urban canopy in a virtual meeting on August 19th at 6 p.m. and through a survey that closes on August 21st. We have links to both in the show notes. Take a listen to learn how science and local policy come together to protect the green of this place that we call home.
Hi, Mindy. Thanks so much for joining us today. We are so excited to hear from you and about the Greenville Urban Forest Comprehensive Plan. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, happy to. I'm Mindy Mohrman. I'm an urban forester and urban planner with Urban Canopy Works. We're a consulting firm that does urban forest planning work like these comprehensive plans, and we help cities with things like development code or parks or streetscape type plans. Anything urban forestry is what we do. Most of my experience prior to becoming a consultant that works with cities is as a city forester. So I have a lot of experience working in a local government setting, working with the public, and working with rules and regulations. So I've been an urban forester for a long, long time.
Well, we're so lucky to benefit from your expertise. Now, when you say urban forest or urban canopy, what exactly does that mean?
That is all of the trees within whatever area we're talking about. So for this comprehensive plan, we're talking about all of the trees, all of the forest that's in Greenville city limits. So street trees, parks trees, all the natural areas, parks, all the trees in the city is the urban forest. So it's public lands, private lands, all of that stuff.
And for someone who doesn't think much about the trees beyond the ones in their own yard, why should they care that the city of Greenville is creating an urban forest comprehensive plan?
Because trees are so important for our quality of life, for public health, for environmental health. We think of them as another type of city infrastructure, the same as roads and sidewalks and utilities, all the stuff you need to get around, to live, and to have a nice life. Trees are one of the most important parts of that, so we see them as something that needs to be on equal priority.
And so why does Greenville need to be looking at a comprehensive plan for its urban forest right now?
Well, one of the things that we always tell people is that because our urban forest doesn't understand property lines, it's both public and private lands, it's really everyone's concern and everyone's responsibility to have a healthy urban forest. So when Greenville puts together a comprehensive plan, it's a plan for the whole community. It's not just a plan that the city can do by itself. There's going to be a lot involved that's not really appropriate or makes sense for a local government to do. One of those things is, like you ask, why should people care? That's an education thing, and a lot of people don't connect how nice their neighborhood is or how enjoyable it is to walk around with the trees that are growing. They just kind of take them for granted. So the city might not be the important leader to talk about community education. That might be some partner like a extension office or working with local school districts. So that's why we kind of want everybody to get on board with this plan and with the implementation of the plan, because the city can't do it alone.
And I work with Trees Upstate. I have, discovered how much land is owned by municipalities versus private ownership. And it is really important that, if we are to reach canopy goals that are determined by this plan, that everyone has to participate because most of the land in our city limits is, privately owned. So I think it's really exciting that you're engaging the community in this process and educating everyone on the importance of the urban canopy. Can you tell us what the civic process taking place right now in Greenville looks like?
Yes, but first, I'm glad you brought that up. I want to point out that 80% of the urban forest is on private property. So that's all the land that's not public. That's, you know, trees and parking lots when you go to the grocery store. That's other large landowners like the school district, for example, or a large office campus. Most of it is going to be on like neighborhood property where you have single family homes. Most of that urban forest is on those properties where people live, where they have their homes. And that's the most stable part of our urban forest. If you think about this is a civic podcast, so you probably know stuff about land use and zoning. Single family zoned property rarely changes. It tends to stay single family. So that's where our most stable parts of the urban forest is. So your trees at your own house are one of the most important parts of the urban forest. And again, I think that really highlights how the city can't do everything with this plan. They can't do everything to make sure the urban forest is as healthy as possible. People who own property are so important. So I just want to emphasize that point, that's where most of our dense and stable urban forest is in people's yards. So we want them to be educated to preserve and to take care of those trees. So as far as the process, we have kind of a 3-phased process when we do these comprehensive and master plans. Starting with a project launch where we set up all the stuff that we need to have in place. So that's, the logistical stuff like when are we going to do meetings, where are they going to be, but also setting up stuff like data collection. So one of the big things that we get out of these plans is we have a place where we know where we started, right? What is our tree canopy like today so that in future years we can tell, we can measure. Are we getting better? Are we losing canopy? Are we gaining? Is our tree population getting healthier? So we need data to understand the urban forest to know those things. The second phase is discovery, where we actually take all of that data and we get into all the programs and policies and ordinances in the city that kind of manage all of our trees. So we look into all of that. We look into existing plans like comprehensive plans, sustainability, climate plans. We want to make sure that the urban forest comprehensive plan is aligned with those goals. So I want to talk about the data that we collect because that's a really interesting part and people are always really interested. Well, what does our urban forest look like? What's good? What's bad? So when we talk about tree canopy, we're talking about land that's shaded by trees as viewed from above. So we use satellite imagery to do this study, and what we found, or what Greenville knows because they have those numbers, is that 37% of Greenville is shaded by trees. So that's 37% of the land in Greenville has trees on it. There's no right number. It's just tracking that number is what's important. We also know because Greenville has these studies, not all cities do, so good for them. Since 2018, when it was measured at 40%, to 2023 is the most recent imagery, when it was measured at 37. So we know that they're losing canopy overall. But what we can also do with these studies is kind of drill down to some areas of the city where they might be gaining, some areas of the city where they might be losing, and we can look into those reasons why. And that gives us information that tells us, okay, here's something that's really working, and here's something that's causing loss. What can we do about all those things? So that's tree canopy. That doesn't tell us really anything about the composition of our urban forest. So what types of trees is it made of? What sizes are they? How old are they? How young are they? What condition are they in? So for that, we do a tree inventory. And that was part of this project, is to have arborists go around on city streets and collect information about public trees. So it's important to note that the tree canopy is everything in Greenville city limits. A tree inventory is public trees because it doesn't make sense for the city to have all this information on trees that they don't manage. They use the inventory for tracking work and for budgeting. So the inventory is going to show us the makeup of the public tree population. So we've had arborists out to get this information. We now have most of the city done, 95% or so. And we know the species diversity of Greenville's public forest. We know the general condition of all of our trees. And we know like the age ranges of trees. So a lot of those things are important because take age, for instance. We want a range of ages from young to establishing to mature to maturing trees so that we're kind of maintaining that flow of the benefits we get from trees over time. So we always have young trees that are replacing old trees. We look at diversity because we don't want to have too many of one species of tree that kind of takes over the population. And I think most people have heard of things like Dutch elm disease or emerald ash borer is one that's kind of moving around right now. Those pests and diseases tend to attack one species of tree. So we don't want all of our eggs in one basket, so to speak. If we have a preponderance of elm trees and we get Dutch elm disease, well then most of our urban forest is going to die from this disease. So we want a lot of different species of trees. So those are some of the things that we track. And we have this information now. It's really interesting. We're going through the data and kind of doing an analysis to get all of these numbers, and we're going to share them with the community at our August 19th virtual public meeting, which you can find on the website, greenvilletreeplan.com. So I really want to share those with folks. It tells us a lot about the urban forest, and it also gives us that starting point that I was talking about, so we can move forward knowing, like, hey, we have too many of maybe one type of species. We need to start planting these other things. Another thing that we look at as part of this process is climate readiness. So we know that some trees will do better as the climate changes. We know some trees will do worse. There's good information about that through the USDA Forest Service. They put together this information. It's called a tree atlas, if anyone wants to Google that. So we know that we can start planting trees that are more climate ready for the future and move away from trees that are shown to not do as good as the climate changes. So that's kind of the discovery process, is just getting existing conditions, both in our trees and in our management and in all the policies that guide how we, regulate trees during development and other things like that. Once we understand everything that's going on in Greenville with all of those things is when we kind of start plan writing. We say, here's what we have. And we ask people through the public engagement that we've been doing, what do we want? What do we want our urban forest to look like? What looks like success to us? Those help us formulate some goals, and then we write the urban forest comprehensive plan, the actual plan on paper that tells us what to do to get to that point where we can say, look what we've done. Our urban forest is vibrant, it's healthy, our city is beautiful. And the plan is a long-term plan that should help us get there. So we're planning on closing up the discovery phase here within the next month and a half or so. And then we'll start with the plan writing portion, and we expect a draft of that plan to be mostly prepared by the end of the year.
So, Mindy, there's still a couple opportunities for the public to weigh in on this Canopy study, correct?
There's 2 more opportunities for the public to engage about this. We have a virtual meeting planned on August 19th at 6 p.m. You can register for that on the project website at greenvilletreeplan.com. We'd really like people to come, and like I said before, that's where we'll share all of that information that we've learned about our tree canopy. And we also have an ongoing survey. You can go take it right now. It closes August 21st, and you can also go to the project website to take that survey. We'd really like to hear from everybody in the community. We tend to hear from the people who already love trees, and we'd really like to get more information from people who don't think about trees, so we understand where they're at and how we can convince them that trees are such an important part of the city infrastructure.
And how long would it take to fill out the survey?
Just a couple minutes. It's 10 questions, most multiple choice, and then we have one open-ended question at the end where you can tell us anything else. Maybe there's something you think we should have asked that we didn't. Maybe there's something you just really want to tell us or emphasize. Less than 10 minutes to fill out the survey. It's 10 questions, and one of them is an open-ended question where you can tell us anything you want.
And I'm curious what you can learn from the survey that you haven't learned from all of the mapping and data that you've looked at already in this process.
One of the great things about the survey is that it's quantifiable. So we can see, what's the most important thing to the community, and that helps us with our goals. So like, for example, we ask people, what do they think the most important thing trees are doing for us? And many people will say, well, I want shaded walks. I want trees to reduce heat. That's a big one in a lot of the cities we work in, is people are really concerned about heat, and they want the shade from trees to cool the area, but trees also cool the area through transpiration, which is the process of pulling water up from the ground and releasing it through their leaves. That has a major cooling effect too. So the survey helps us understand what is really coming to the top of people's priorities.
And looking at all this information about Greenville's Canopy, is there something you've learned that has surprised you?
Yeah, one of the things that we got from the tree inventory is 70+% of the public tree population is rated as in good condition. So when arborists take this tree inventory, they rate the trees as being either, usually it's simple condition ratings like dead, poor, fair, good. And honestly, most of the time we see the highest proportion of trees being in fair condition, which makes sense because we're looking mostly at street trees, trees growing in urban areas. They have less room to grow, they have poor soils, so they're not thriving the way a tree in your backyard might be thriving. So it's pretty normal to have the highest proportion of trees in fair condition. What we're seeing now from the inventory is that the highest proportion of trees are rated in good condition, and that is surprising. We don't see that often, and it just speaks to a long history of the city doing good management with their trees. So that's very encouraging. I think Greenville is set up to really do an incredible job with improving an urban forest that's already in pretty good shape.
Mindy, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing about the Urban Canopy and Greenville and how citizens can participate in this process. We look forward to hearing the results from you soon.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to have this chance to talk to you, and I really hope people join us for our upcoming opportunities. We don't want to just hear from the people who love trees. We want to hear from everybody, so please come out and take that survey.
Simple Civics Greenville County listeners, Nathaniel here. If you've made it this far, then we think you'll really love our newsletter. Sign up for bonus content, updates, and more right in your inbox. Look for the link in the description that says newsletter to sign up, or visit us at simplecivicsgreenvillecounty.org. Find the link in the menu that says newsletter and sign up there. We'll see you again next week.